Racist woman blocks Keanu Reeves from taking a seat, faces karma. She didn't expect. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Or please complete our 1,000 subscribers and don't miss the end of the video. Keanu Reeves found himself driving through the winding roads of rural Texas, craving a moment of simplicity away from the bright lights of Hollywood. His fame rarely allowed him solitude, but the charm of small towns offered a certain anonymity. That evening, he stumbled upon a quaint little movie theater with a glowing marquee advertising an old classic. It was perfect. He parked his car and walked toward the ticket booth, enjoying the cool breeze and the muffled laughter of locals gathering for the same screening. The ticket seller, a young man with a cowboy hat perched precariously on his head, barely looked up as he handed Keanu his ticket. No recognition, no fuss, exactly what Keanu had hoped for. With a small bag of popcorn in hand, he pushed open the theater door and stepped into a space that reeked of nostalgia. Inside, the theater was dimly lit, its red velvet seats bathed in a golden glow from the screen. Keanu scanned the sparsely filled rows and spotted a seat in the middle, perfectly situated for an immersive experience. As he approached, a middle-aged woman sitting nearby suddenly leaned across the aisle and placed her bag on the seat. "These seats are for regulars," she said, her voice sharp and dismissive. Keanu hesitated, surprised by the hostility. He glanced around, noting plenty of open seats, but he chose not to argue. Instead, he nodded politely, murmured a quiet, "Thank you," and walked to a seat further back. He had dealt with worse before, but the blatant judgment still stung. Sitting quietly, he reminded himself to let it go. The movie was about to begin, and he had no intention of letting the encounter ruin his night. As the previews rolled, Keanu leaned back and let the hum of the theater lull him into a rare moment of peace. The buttery scent of popcorn filled the air, and the quiet murmur of excited chatter began to die down. It wasn't long before a young theater employee, a girl in her late teens, passed by and froze mid-step. Her eyes widened as she looked at Keanu, her lips parting in disbelief. "Oh my God, are you—" she started, then caught herself, glancing around nervously. Keanu gave her a kind smile and nodded slightly, his finger to his lips in a playful shush gesture. The girl's face turned crimson, but she hurried away, her excitement barely contained. Moments later, the manager appeared, a middle-aged man with a friendly face. He whispered an apology for the earlier incident and offered Keanu a private VIP seat. Keanu declined at first, but the manager insisted, leading him to a cozy spot in the balcony. Keanu gave a grateful nod, settling in just as the lights dimmed. As the opening credits rolled, whispers began to ripple through the theater. Someone had spotted Keanu being escorted to the balcony, and the news spread like wildfire. The woman who had blocked him from sitting earlier shifted uncomfortably as the buzz grew louder. "Is that really him?" someone murmured behind her. "Keanu Reeves? Here?" Her heart sank as she realized what she had done. Glancing nervously toward the balcony, she spotted the silhouette of a man reclining in his seat. It was unmistakably him. The weight of her actions hit her like a brick. She had dismissed one of the kindest, most beloved celebrities in the world, someone known for his humility and grace. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment as she sank lower in her seat, praying the ground would swallow her whole. Keanu, oblivious to the drama unfolding below, allowed himself to relax fully. The theater's vintage ambiance, the hum of the projector, and the timeless story playing out on the screen offered a sense of normalcy he hadn't felt in months. The VIP seat was comfortable, and the view was perfect. For the first time in a long while, he felt like just another person enjoying a movie. As the film progressed, Keanu couldn't help but smile at the little things. A couple giggling in the front row, a child whispering questions to their parent, the occasional sound of someone unwrapping candy. It reminded him of why he loved small towns and why he had chosen this detour. Here life felt unhurried and real. For Keanu, the movie wasn't just on the screen, it was in the theater itself, in the lives of the people around him. As the movie played on, the whispers about Keanu's presence didn't fade. They grew. Patrons in the theater exchanged glances, trying to confirm the unbelievable truth. A few bold individuals craned their necks toward the balcony, catching glimpses of the actor. The woman from earlier felt trapped in her seat, each passing comment like a dagger. "I can't believe he's here," someone whispered behind her. "And he's sitting up there like a king." Her chest tightened with guilt. How could she have been so dismissive? She replayed their brief interaction in her mind, realizing how condescending she had sounded. She had judged him, a stranger, without reason. Now her actions were the talk of the theater, even if no one knew she was the culprit. Her popcorn went untouched as she fidgeted in discomfort. The film's emotional climax played out on screen, drawing the audience into its drama. Yet for many in the theater, the real spectacle was Keanu. The irony wasn't lost on a few moviegoers that this down-to-earth actor had become the unwitting star of their evening. People whispered about his humility, recounting stories they'd heard of his generosity and kindness. Meanwhile, the theater staff, now aware of his presence, discreetly checked on him to ensure he was comfortable. Keanu offered them his trademark smile, quietly thanking them for their efforts. In contrast, the woman from earlier felt her seat growing warmer with every moment. The very presence of Keanu Reeves had transformed what should have been a mundane evening into a memorable experience for everyone. But her. As the film concluded and the credits rolled, Keanu clapped softly, appreciating the timeless story he had just witnessed. Around him, the other patrons began gathering their belongings, some stealing glances at the balcony. A few lingered, hoping to catch a moment with the unexpected guest. The woman hesitated, torn between slipping out unnoticed or confronting her shame. The theater's cozy ambiance now felt stifling, every creak of a chair amplifying her discomfort. She debated apologizing, but the fear of public humiliation kept her rooted. With a deep sigh, she rose, clutching her purse, and made her way toward the exit, her head low and her heart heavy. Outside the theater, Keanu emerged quietly, his relaxed demeanor drawing the attention of the few who remained nearby. He paused to exchange pleasantries with the manager, thanking him for the hospitality. As he walked toward his car, he noticed the woman from earlier, standing awkwardly near the exit, as if waiting for something or someone. Their eyes met briefly, and the woman froze. Her mind raced for the right words, but all she could manage was a weak, "I'm sorry." Keanu, ever gracious, offered her a small nod and a smile. "It's okay," he replied simply, his voice warm and genuine. Without another word, he walked away, leaving her to grapple with the weight of her actions. Driving back to his hotel, Keanu thought little of the encounter with the woman. To him, it was a minor blip in an otherwise pleasant evening. Yet it reminded him of the importance of humility and kindness, values he tried to live by, even in the face of unkindness. The woman, however, couldn't shake the experience. As she drove home, she reflected on her behavior, realizing how quick she had been to judge someone based on assumptions. The incident became a mirror, forcing her to confront her own biases and rethink how she treated others. That night, she resolved to change, hoping she'd never let such pettiness define her again. The next morning, news of Keanu Reeves' visit spread like wildfire across the small town. Social media lit up with posts from theater patrons, many sharing blurry photos of him in the balcony. The theater staff posted a heartfelt message online, thanking Keanu for his visit and praising his humility. It quickly gained traction, drawing comments from locals and fans alike. The woman from the theater read the posts with a sinking feeling. Her part in the story wasn't mentioned, but the weight of her guilt grew. Seeing how people celebrated Keanu's kindness and grace only highlighted her own shortcomings. She wondered if she'd ever get the chance to redeem herself. Unable to bear the guilt, the woman decided to share her story anonymously on a local social media group. She recounted how she had dismissed a man at the theater, only to realize later it was Keanu Reeves. Her post ended with an apology, not just to him, but to anyone she had ever judged unfairly. The post garnered mixed reactions. Some commended her for owning up to her mistake, while others criticized her for her initial behavior. Regardless, the act of confession was cathartic for her. For the first time since the incident, she felt a glimmer of hope for redemption. Meanwhile, Keanu continued his travels, unaware of the ripple effect his visit had caused. His brief interaction with the woman had sparked discussions about kindness and humility in the small town. Local businesses began promoting messages of inclusivity, inspired by the actor's quiet grace. At the theater, the staff decided to dedicate one night a month to community screenings, offering discounted tickets to foster a sense of togetherness. The initiative was dubbed the Reeves Effect, a playful nod to the actor's visit. The town's culture began to shift subtly. People became more conscious of their words and actions, inspired by the stories circulating about Keanu's kindness. The woman who had blocked his seat found herself volunteering at local community events, determined to make amends for her past behavior. Though small, these changes brought a sense of pride to the town. They had taken a lesson in humility and turned it into a movement, proving that even fleeting encounters could leave a lasting impact. The theater became a hub for conversation, with patrons sharing their stories of kindness inspired by the Reeves effect. It wasn't just about Keanu's visit anymore. It was about a renewed commitment to treating people with respect. Local newspapers picked up the story, and the town became a symbol of how small acts of humility could spark change. The woman from the incident continued to reflect deeply on her actions. One evening, she attended one of the community screenings, sitting quietly in the back row. Watching families laugh and share moments, she realized how much she had been missing by letting her prejudices dictate her actions. Unable to shake the guilt entirely, the woman decided to write a letter to Keanu. She didn't know where to send it, so she left it with the theater manager, hoping it might eventually reach him. In the letter, she described her behavior, her regret, and the lessons she had learned since the encounter. She ended it with gratitude, thanking him for his patience and grace, which had set an example for her and the entire town. The letter wasn't just an apology, it was a promise to live differently. Weeks later, the theater manager received a reply from Keanu's team. To the woman's surprise, Keanu had not only read her letter, but had sent back a handwritten note. In it, he thanked her for her honesty and courage, reminding her that everyone makes mistakes, but growth comes from acknowledging and correcting them. His words were simple yet profound. Kindness is a choice we make every day. Thank you for choosing it now. Keanu's response became a turning point for the woman. She joined a local outreach program, mentoring young people on the importance of empathy and understanding. Her transformation didn't go unnoticed. The community began to see her as a living example of how anyone could change for the better. Her efforts extended to organizing events at the theater, including a film series celebrating stories of redemption and kindness. Each event brought the town closer together, reinforcing the lessons sparked by one unexpected celebrity encounter. Months later, Keanu returned to the small Texas town, this time as part of a road trip promoting a documentary about the power of small-town community. He made a surprise visit to the theater, where the staff and locals greeted him warmly. The woman who had once blocked his seat stood nervously in the background, unsure if she should approach. When their eyes met, Keanu offered her a kind smile and walked over. "It's good to see you again," he said warmly. She apologized once more, but Keanu waved it off. "You've already made amends," he replied, gesturing to the bustling theater around them. "This is amazing." The theater became a lasting symbol of kindness, with Keanu's visit etched into its history. A plaque was installed near the entrance reading, "Inspiration through Humility, Keanu Reeves, 1997. The woman, now an active and respected member of the community, often reflected on how one small act of kindness had changed her life. Her encounter with Keanu had taught her that redemption wasn't just about apologizing, but about making meaningful changes. As Keanu drove away from the town for the second time, he smiled, knowing he had left behind more than just a memory. The small Texas town had turned a brief moment of humility into a legacy of compassion, proving that sometimes the simplest actions can have the greatest impact.